Hey girl, welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me today. Today we're going to make chicken noodle soup. And the chicken noodle soup that we are going to make is Ernestine's chicken noodle soup, which is actually my mom. My mom would make this for me when I didn't feel well, or sometimes she made it for dinner, or when I faked like I didn't feel well because I wanted chicken noodle soup, but we won't say anything about that now. No judgment, right? No judgment. So I wanted to share this recipe with you today. I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's get started. Chicken noodle soup is one of those soul foods. It just makes you feel so good. And when I eat this soup, it makes me think about my mom and my childhood, and it's such good memories. So I hope when you make this recipe, that's how you feel when you make it. So what we're going to do is I have 4 chicken thighs here. Now you can use any kind of chicken. I usually use chicken breasts, but I accidentally bought chicken thighs, so that's what we're going to use today. And the great thing about this recipe is it goes very far. This is one of the recipes that I made for my kids when they were little a lot. And it was because there were 7 of them and we had to make food stretch. And when you look in the refrigerator and you only see 2 chicken breasts and you have 7 kids staring at you, you have to get creative, right? Well, my kids absolutely love chicken noodle soup. So anyway, that was a little side note. Okay, so I have 8 ounces of pre-made noodles, and you can make your own noodles. I do sometimes, but today's a cheat day, so no judgment here. I have a cup of celery, a cup of onion, 1 cup carrot, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. I have a teaspoon and a half of kosher salt with black pepper, a teaspoon of that. And we have 1 teaspoon of chicken bullion. I have a teaspoon and a half of Italian seasoning and 1 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. So we're going to combine everything but the noodles. We're going to put them in the pot and we're going to get this started. So we are going to boil the chicken and we're basically going to make a broth. So let's go ahead. We're going to use the 4 chicken thighs that I was telling you about earlier. And like I said, you can use any cut of meat, of chicken. We're going to use 1 cup of celery, the 1 cup of onions, 1 cup of carrots, the 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. Yum, yum. Garlic makes everything better. At least I think so. We're going to use our salt and pepper mixture and our seasonings with the bouillon in it. Then what we'll do is we're going to fill this pan up. I'm going to show it to you here. Do you see that? And we're going to take the water to about right here. So we're going to leave about 2 inches of head space. And then we're going to put it on the stove and we are going to boil it until the chicken gets done. Okay, now that I have the pot on the stove, you can see that I left about 2 inches of headspace so the broth can boil. And we may need to add water to it as we cook it, but that's okay. We'll just make sure we sprinkle a little extra salt in there too so it remains flavorful. And we are going to just stir this occasionally. And we're going to wait till the chicken actually gets done. We are going to clean the chicken off the bone after the chicken is done. We'll put it back into this broth and we will let it all marry together and do what it needs to do. So I'm going to turn this on medium heat, maybe medium to high, and we'll add the lid and we're going to let nature take its course as this chicken takes a bath in this rich, lovely broth. And I can't wait to see you back soon. Hey girl, I wish you could smell my kitchen. It smells amazing in here. This chicken noodle soup is going to be so delicious and I cannot wait to try it. But while we're waiting for the chicken noodle soup to cook, I thought, why not make some mashed potatoes? Because what goes best with chicken noodle soup? Mashed potatoes. And in my house, we like to take a big old dollop of mashed potatoes and then pour a big, nice helping of chicken noodle soup over the mashed potatoes. And it is delicious. So I hope you'll try it that way. Let's get started. So I took 5 large potatoes and I cut them up and made them into cubes. And you want to make sure that the potatoes are basically the same size when you cube them, just so they all cook evenly. I have 2 tablespoons, which I know sounds like a lot of salt, but we're going to put that in the water while they boil. And then we shouldn't need to add salt once we mash the potatoes. So once the mashed potatoes are boiled, we will drain the water off of them, and then we will add, I have here a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup of sour cream. Then I have 2 tablespoons of butter and 1 tablespoon of milk. And I will tell you all, I melt my butter in my milk before I add it to my mashed potatoes because it makes it less lumpy. So hopefully that's a good tip for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these potatoes and I'm going to put them into, oops, I had a runaway. We're going to put those into my pan. We are going to leave about 2 inches of headspace of water, and we're going to get them on the stove and get them boiling. And oh, I almost forgot my salt. That's the most important part. So let's add that in. As you can see, I left about 2 inches of space in the pan, so this gives it room to boil. And what we're waiting for is for the potatoes to get fork soft. Once they are fork soft, then we can mash them and turn them into a velvety delight. You all, I wish you could smell my kitchen. It smells amazing in here. But while everything was cooking, Dolly and I were hanging out and we thought, let's take some time to get to know each other. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I am a high school nurse, and here in Indiana, it's homecoming week. And yesterday was a dress-up day. It was dynamic duo. And my friend Lonnie, which you will meet at some point, we dressed up as Dolly Parton, which was me, and she was Willie Nelson. And I had a shirt on that said, "I beg your pardon." And one of the students was looking at my shirt and she said, "You know, Brandy, you kind of remind me of Dolly." And I was like, "What? I mean, do tell, right?" And she said, "You know, Dolly's nice and she's non-judgmental and she's really sassy. And that's kind of how you act." And I was like, oh, that was the nicest thing I think anybody could say to me. Then I thought, are you trying to get out of class? I'm totally kidding. But I just thought, wow, I'm telling you all, I love these high school students. Sometimes they can be the most amazing individuals that you've ever met. And if you compliment me like that, I think me and you need to be new besties, right? Now that I've told you a little bit about myself, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? Make sure you add that in on the comments below. I can't wait to get to meet you. Okay, you all, the chicken is done, and I went ahead and removed it, and I'm letting it cool down so I can pick it off the bone. So while we are waiting for that chicken to cool down, I am going to go ahead and add a little bit of flour and water. I made a little slurry mix just to make the broth more like gravy. So what I have done is I took a 1/4 cup of flour and about a 1/4 cup of water, and I mixed it together, and now I'm going to add it to the pot. Okay, so as I add the slurry to the pot, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a little bit of the hot liquid and add it to the slurry so it doesn't form like a big gelatinous glop in the pot. So I'm just mixing. Now I'm going to add it in, and I'm just going to continue to stir to make sure that it doesn't lump together in the broth. So let's just keep stirring. And as the chicken cools down, I'm going to take it off and I'm going to put it into the pot. So I'm going to go ahead and add my noodles at this time. So let's just go ahead and pour those in there. So we're just going to stir it occasionally. At this point, you can turn it down a little bit to more of a medium heat, and that's what I'm going to do. And then we'll add the chicken. As you can see, the chicken is cooling down. So I'm gonna go ahead and start removing some of the skins. I save the skins for my little fur balls because they love chicken skins. If your chicken isn't completely cooked, like if you get down to the bone and it's not completely finished, that's okay. Just go ahead and throw it in the pot. You're putting it in boiling water, and the noodles have to cook for about 15-20 minutes to soften. So don't worry about that. Oh, look at that. It looks so good. I can't wait to try this, you all. You're going to love it. Okay, you all. I think the potatoes are done. Let's just give them a little bit of a taste test here. I'm going to show you what fork soft means, okay? If you can do that, that means they're fork soft. Did you see how easy my fork went through it? So that's what we're testing for. So I'm going to go ahead and throw those bad boys back in there. I'm going to turn my heat off, and I'm going to strain the water out of the boiling potatoes. Then I'll take the potatoes and I'm going to add them to the bowl. So here we go. All right. Oh man, this is going to be so good. I cannot wait to try this. Just make sure that your potatoes get all the water out of them that you can, because we're going to add milk and butter and sour cream. We don't need any extra liquid from the water. All right, it's time to make these fabulous mashed potatoes. And if I haven't told you, Lord, I love me some mashed potatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and blend this with a mixer. We want to get it nice and mixed together, and then we'll start adding our other ingredients. All right. Sorry for the loud noise. All right, so I'm just going to get these mashed together as best that I can because there isn't any liquid in it, so it's not going to make it look like a true mashed potato until we add in all of our stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the mixer here. I'm going to add my sour cream, and this was a 1/4 cup to a 1/2 cup. I probably went more on the 1/2 cup side because I love me some sour cream, okay? So let's go ahead and add that in. All right. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the butter and milk mixture. Remember, this was 2 tablespoons of butter to 1 tablespoon of milk. So I'm just going to put a little in, not all of it yet, because we want to make sure, you know, we don't want it to be too liquidy. We want them nice and fluffy. Mashed potatoes are one of my kids' favorite things. And I guess that's probably one of the things I'm really good at making are mashed potatoes. You know, my older kids definitely eat a lot more vegetables than my younger kids. My younger kids, I guess mashed potato is their vegetable. So let me just go ahead and get this all mixed together. Alright, I'm going to add the rest of the liquid. Just because it is kind of a tight mashed potato, we want it to be a little looser. We don't want it milky and soupy or anything. Oh yeah, it's coming together. Woo. Smells so good. I just think of adding the chicken noodles to the top of it, and it's going to be delicious. All right, guess what time it is? It's my favorite time of the day. It's taste test time. Oh my goodness, and I cannot wait to taste this. So I wanted to show you, this is my mashed potatoes. I want to show you the consistency. See, they're very light and fluffy. Woo, I just can't wait. So I'm going to take some of the soup, and this is how we do it in our house. We're going to add a little bit of the soup to the mashed potatoes on top. And you guys, I'm being bashful because I can tell you I would eat a way bigger plate of this, okay? So, and then I made some bread and butter. I have to have bread and butter with my mashed potatoes and chicken noodle soup. So here it is. It's white bread. I know it's bad for you, but gosh, it's so delicious. And I just put a little smear of butter on it. So here we go. All right. Let me get it all mixed in there good, and it's nice and piping hot. Okay, here we go. Oh my gosh. I can't even right now. Oh my goodness. And then you can just tear up the little pieces of the bread and even sop it in the broth. Oh my Lord. It makes me want to do a double back flip. It's so good. Oh my goodness. I cannot wait for you to try this. I think you are going to be an absolute love. Well, if you like this recipe, make sure you like, share, comment, and don't forget, hey girl, it's Brandy's backyard.